I actually don't know if I've talked about that. That might be an exclusive.
Yeah.
And I'm Canadian, so I didn't know what that meant. So I had to look it up. It all comes down to what is the thing that you, Justin Evans, loves the most.
Then I watched the video your assistant sent over, and I chucked that list, and I was just like, what do I actually want to know from Evan? Evan, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Let's go, Justin. Happy to be here, man.
I know how to start a YouTube channel. I know how to grow a kid and family channel. I know how to run a business, customthumbnails.com. This podcast is brand new, and I'm seeking some insight on how to grow this thing, as well as I wrote a book a couple weeks ago that'll be on Amazon in about 30 days. I'm looking for some insight on how to build these things with the skill set that I have.
Okay. So what's the point of the podcast?
Point of the podcast is it's called Unlimited with Justin Evans. The point of the podcast is to help people be unstuck. If it's in relationships, if it's in business, if it's in the idea that they've always had that they want to do, something they want to achieve, it's to unlock that potential.
Cool. So you're in a fortunate position in that you're starting it from scratch, but you're not starting from scratch, right? You have some contacts in the industry, you know some people, you can pull sweaters as an analogy an old mentor used to give me, where like you're pulling sweaters to get to the head of the line.
Sure.
Where you know enough people that you can get to people and you can get to bigger and bigger and bigger people, right? So, there's people who've used your service, you've gone to events, you have connections. Even, after this interview goes up, you can see who follows me. An easy hack is like for current guests, see who follows them on Instagram and then reach out to them.
Oh.
So after this interview goes live, see who follows me on Instagram, and then you can reach out to them and say, hey, I had Evan Carmichael on my show. I'd love to have you on too.
Wow.
My name may mean nothing to many people, but it means something to a few people. It allows you to do, outreach. Okay. But so you can work your way up, and you can get guests on your show at a faster clip than most people who are just starting off a podcast. Cool. Right. To what end? Like, how can I bring you value? How can other people come on and bring Justin value, audience value? Because that's, I guess, the work of that's the brand. Like, what are we trying to create here? So unlimited potential. Okay, awesome. I love it. I mean, I'm all about believe. So great. Right. I love it. Is it the guests? Is it the format? Is it people coming on and coaching you? Is it like, what are we going to do different on this podcast compared to all the other podcasts out there that, have the same purpose as you?
Right. Well, I think that part of it is I'm confident enough to think that I'm able to do something like this, but I'm naive enough to, I don't know, ask the questions that other people might not want to ask.
You don't have to have it all figured out either,
sure.
On this call right now. But that becomes the ongoing factor. Why would somebody subscribe to the channel? Why would they watch what you're doing? You can get guests, which is, again, you're not starting from scratch. But if I'm coming on your show, how does this become a different interview or show than the other ones that other people are on, that I've gone on other people's channels and had, similar conversations? I mean, I talk about belief and potential all the time. So how does it become different? Is it about my potential story? Is it about your potential story? Is it about diving into a specific, and it all comes from your heart. Like, what do you actually want to create? I think in your email, you talked about how to go from 211 degrees to 212. And I'm Canadian, so I didn't know what that meant. So I had to look it up. I'm like, what's 211? Who cares about 211? It's like, it's a 1 degree shift, but there's got to be something more to that. And then I realized I went to Google and looked it up before coming on live with you. So
that is so funny.
If you asked me live, like, okay, it's the boiling point between 99 degrees. For us, it's 99 to 100. 100 is boiling.
Which makes so much more sense than a 211 and 212. But yeah,
that's fine. So it's like, how do you go from just being warm to actually boiling, right? And it's just a 1 degree difference.
Sure.
So if it was, what are the 1 degree differences that people need to make in their lives? Like, it all comes down to what is the thing that you, Justin Evans, loves the most, because you can connect with people and you can have good conversations and you have access to guests and you can continue to improve that access to guests.
Right.
But what's the theme? So, you've got hot ones. They have a theme.
Yeah.
Right? If it's the 1 degree shift, that could be a theme. For me, I love showcasing famous entrepreneurs and what we can learn from their success. My podcast is called Tell Me Why I Suck, where I bring people on the show to tell me why I suck at something.
Oh my gosh.
It becomes a coaching session where I've had Gary Vee's life coach who comes on and tells me why my life sucks, or I could have you come on and tell me why my thumbnails suck. And it's basically not just trying to do another interview with somebody, but to turn it into a coaching session, and I get their feedback, and hopefully me learning, my audience learns as well. But that's what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
So as you do more and as you evolve the show and get a couple more under your belt, you've got so many raw ingredients,
right?
And you've got amazing tools to work with as well. Like the raw ingredients are your personality and your vibe and your conversations and willing to reach out to people, and the tools you've got are because you have a background and because you already know a lot of people. So you've got raw ingredients and you've got tools, but like, what are we making?
Right.
Are we making a cake? Are we doing a barbecue? Or like, what are we actually?
Totally.
What's the end result that we're going after?
I'm going through this massive change in my life right now, and I haven't really talked to my audience at all about it. And so right now I'm talking to the people that I need to hear from, right? 30-minute to 60-minute or coaching sessions, if you will. But I don't sell it like that to the audience or to my guests, but that's kind of what it is. Because what I'm experiencing in business, relationships, all the things, health, a lot of other people are experiencing. And I want to unlimit myself through these experiences and just get better.
Well, and so this is great. And I think that ends up being something that people will connect to you so much more on, to say, hey, you could just do another show about potential and do typical interview questions that everybody else asks. And if somebody comes up with a book, you can ask them about their book and how it connects to potential. And it's still a great interview, but you're kind of falling to the bucket of every other interview talking about the same theme, unless you're going to go get unique guests who've never been on other shows, and that becomes a value prop, which is completely different guests. Or you say, hey, I'm struggling with blank. I've had all success in this business and I'm bored of it, or I'm trying to figure out my next path and I don't even know what that looks like, and I brought you on because I thought I'm able to learn from you. And then that actually way more deeply connects your audience to you, to say, man, this Justin guy is not just another podcast host, Larry King asking questions, but like, it's touching my soul.
Well, I actually had a list of standard podcast questions I was going to ask you. Then I watched the video your assistant sent over, and I chucked that list. And I was just like, what do I actually want to know from Evan? Like, what do I actually want? And yeah, the podcast, I wrote a book, which will be out soon, like I mentioned. And I'm self-publishing it. I mean, that's kind of the punk rock DIY route that I like going anyways. You have a book or books. Did you self-publish or did you get a publisher?
I did 2 self and I did 2 with publishers. So my first book was with Penguin Random House. And that was, with a deal in advance and international rights and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then I did 1 more with a publisher and then 2 on my own. There's pros and cons to both.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to get it done. I don't want to wait. I wrote it over the course of 4 days. It just kind of happened, and it's an easy read, probably 18 to 20,000 words, but it's kind of my recipe for success. Actually, the key to success in my view is find the recipe that's worked for other people and make it your own. Don't reinvent the wheel. So you're giving me pieces of the recipe for successful podcast, and in turn, hopefully a successful book launch at some point, and those things.
Yeah. And so, I mean, kudos to you for being willing to throw away your questions. And if I guess for the audience, what I do is whenever we have I'm going to be on somebody's show, I give them, I recorded a video, I don't know how long it is, 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Just outlining, hey, here's how to get a great interview with me. And so, don't do an introduction.
Right.
Because now we're going to spend time doing an introduction instead of us spending time. Do the intro after, or don't do an intro at all. I don't care if you read my bio or you mention that I have X number of subscribers. Like, I just want to get on and help. The typical, how many times have I been asked, what would you tell your younger self?
Right.
Or what's your morning routine? Or, I'm so super cool to answer all those questions again, but it just doesn't, you're going to get my standard answer. So I'm kind of checked out now as I'm like giving you my standard answer. And then for the audience, is like, if they listen to any of my other interviews, they're getting a similar kind of vibe and answer. So it doesn't help your podcast stand out in any way. So the thinking becomes, okay, hopefully you're bringing on guests that you actually want to talk to and learn from.
Oh yeah.
You know, that because some people don't.
Right.
But you know, hopefully you are. And then, okay, well, what do I really want to learn from this person? What's the point of even having them on? And so, you know, Evan, I met you 3 years ago or whatever, Vid Summit, and you gave me this advice, and I'm here. I'd love your feedback on this. Or if you're launching your book, you bring on a book expert. Say, hey, I've got my book. I self-publish it. It's 20,000 words. I'm super proud of it. I want to get it out to as many people as possible, but I don't know anything about book promotion. So you're the expert. Tell me how do I promote my book? Right. And in your willingness to learn and expose yourself and say like, hey, like I'm an expert at some things and I know zero in other things. And the fastest way to do it is to model success, that I don't have to come up with everything myself. I just need to get the experts. And you're fortunate that you can network your way to getting those experts on your show to give advice.
Well, thank you. And I didn't realize that it took you 5 years to get 7,000 subscribers. When we see someone with success, we just kind of assume that like they were born that way, or I don't know. But that's a grind. We had a similar grind, but that's a grind. And I love hearing that. That's incredible. And I have no point in saying that other than I freaking love that. You're the hardest working content creator I know. We were standing next to each other at Vid Summit, and you're talking about A/B thumbnail testing, and the two buddy guys, Phil and the other founders, were there. And you're like, hey, I A/B test more thumbnails than anyone else, right? And they're like, yeah, by a long shot. It's impressive. It's impressive and inspiring. And it makes me think that I have a shot at growing this show and doing those things.
Cool, man. Well, I mean, I think you just expect to suck at the beginning.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of my YouTube career, I opened my channel November 2008, but I didn't upload my first video until April 2009.
Okay.
So I sat on my ideas too. Like we're all sitting on ideas. You've probably been sitting on this idea for a podcast for a while before you actually start doing it. And so the trick becomes, how do you shorten the gap between the idea to just starting? And I'm sure, like, what episode number is this for you?
I'd have to look somewhere around 10 plus or minus.
Cool.
Yeah.
So like you come back to episode 100 and this will be completely different. It'll be a lot more clear. You'll have a different studio set up and like you'll have so many more things figured out. But don't let that be the reason why you don't start the episode and get to episode number 10, which is where everybody, myself included, gets stuck in overthinking, over planning, over preparing. So I just started, but people ask me how long did it take you to make it? Like, well, I don't know what's making it. Was it 7,000 subscribers after 5 years? Was it when I crossed 6 figures or 7 figures? But it definitely took a long time. In 2009, being YouTube famous wasn't even a thing. No. So I was just making videos.
Right.
I'm a visual learner. I'd rather see something than hear it. And so I just started making content because I thought it might help a few people. It was never the ambition I didn't even know it was possible. And so I just kept going, and I sucked. And you can watch the early videos and stumbled and sucked and nervous and all of it. And like, it's great. I love looking back. I mean, it's cringe looking back on it, but I'm proud that they're all there so that people can see the journey, that I didn't just get it figured out.
Right.
And a lot of it is, you just keep going. Right. So I've done, 10,000 videos over all the channels.
Wow.
We've done, for split testing, we started with TubeBuddy. I helped them. Yep. I helped them in their product creation. Now we've launched our own tool. Actually, we haven't launched it yet. We created our own tool that we'll be launching soon.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
I actually don't know if I've talked about that. That might be an exclusive.
Hey, there's no better place.
Yeah. So, I mean, TubeBuddy is awesome. There's some serious limitations on it if you're doing it at scale.
Sure.
So we closed with TubeBuddy at, 12,000 split tests, something crazy on thumbnails, and then created our own tool and have done another 6,000 or 7,000 inside of that. And the goal is to launch 100 plus new a day split tests.
What? And that'll be available to the public?
Probably.
Okay. Well, yeah. I know a guy who owns a website that does thumbnails, so I can, we can.
What? I mean, it's true. We should talk, because it's proven the case. One of the biggest things with TubeBuddy, and TubeBuddy is great, allowing you to A/B test.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of times with TubeBuddy, we'd find that the thumbnail would do better, but would actually get a negative result, because as a video does better on a channel, the click-through rate actually drops. If you look at your best videos,
sure,
they have like a 2% click-through rate.
Right.
The highest views, where the lowest view videos might have a 30% click-through rate. It's because your mom is watching it. It's like people who know you and love you, but the more you're reaching a broad audience, the lower your click-through rate actually becomes. And we've seen this consistently over tons of channels.
Right.
And so what would happen is if you design a killer thumbnail and actually it crushes, YouTube starts to recommend it more, which then drops the CTR. And so TubeBuddy comes back with this test lost, but it got way more views. And it did lose because of click-through rate, but it got way more views. So what, as a content creator, what do you care about? Your click-through rate or your views? It's like, I want views on my videos.
Right.
And so we'd always have to check every test to see, okay, did the views go up? So with ours, we're actually tracking for a test to complete. It's got to be at least 6 days. It's got to be even number of days. It has to have a higher click-through rate with confidence of 95%. And it's got to have more clicks and more watch time. When it crosses all 5, it's a winning test. Some videos complete faster than others.
Right.
What else does it do? It'll keep track of all your old tests on that video.
Wow.
So if you test a big video, and it loses or it wins, how do you know? We used to keep this giant Google Doc of all of our tests to see what have we tested on this video before. Because if you tested 10 different things, how do you remember what you've tried before or not? So to keep track of that. And maybe one of the biggest features that people, that we're testing with love the most is it automatically recommends videos for you to split test. So it'll show you, hey, this video should be doing better.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, so we put videos into impression bands. So it'll be like 1 million to 5 million, 5 million to 10 million. I mean, all the way down from like 50 to 100, 100 to 500 impressions. Because when you say, what's a good thumbnail? People might probably ask you, what's a good thumbnail click-through rate?
Right.
Well, it depends. It depends on how many impressions it's getting.
Sure.
Right? Like you can't ask that question in and of itself. You have to look at similar videos with similar impression bands. But if a video is getting 1 million impressions, if 2 videos both get 1 million impressions, and one has a 4% click-through rate, the other has a 1.5% click-through rate, okay, the 1.5% like sucks and needs to be improved.
Right.
Because we're comparing apples to apples. So we'll find the videos that with similar impression bands have an underperforming click-through rate, and then say, you need to go fix this video, and then allow you to run a thumbnail or title split test. Has to pass all 5 criteria, and then keeps track of all the winners.
Right.
And then allows you to assign team members. So like if you, Justin, are working on behalf of a client, you could log in. It'll say that Justin did this thumbnail, and you can keep track of the results that you got.
Whoa.
Those are some of the things.
Whoa.
Yeah, we just totally geeked out over YouTube thumbnails.
Yeah, we did, man. It's like a super niche thing that only a few people know about.
We might need to set up a separate time so I could just show you kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Those are some of the things. And it just came out of, listen, if you're testing a couple thumbnails a month, cool. Like, go use TubeBuddy. It's awesome. It does the trick. And TubeBuddy has a lot more amazing features.
Sure.
For automation and updating cards and like so many cool things in TubeBuddy.
Right.
But for split testing at scale, it's just not a very good tool. Right. So for people who really want to upgrade, this is it. But it's not public yet. It probably will be. It probably will be. Like, I'm using it myself, and I'm giving it to my friends.
Yeah.
Who have big channels, who just, they know I've been working on this and they want to experiment. I haven't fully committed to launching a client service business. Sure. Where like now you have clients, and the problem with clients is you got to deal with clients. So, but I probably will once we iron everything out. And I'll
cool, man. I know a guy.
I'll keep you posted.
I know a guy. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it helps prove the case to say like, hey, we won on all these tests, and the value of custom thumbnails. If people aren't convinced that changing your thumbnail has a massive improvement on the video. I think another big problem is people don't test the same video enough. Right. So you could improve the thumbnail. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but that video is still underperforming. So like, test it again. Right. Instead of testing the whole catalog, there are videos that should be tested again and again and again and again before going deeper into the catalog. But how do you know which ones to test? And so that was helpful tool.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to learn more about it. And that's what Netflix does. Like, this isn't just a YouTube thing. Like, Netflix tests thumbnails constantly. So it's not just a YouTube thing. You asked Tony Robbins a question that was like, what are you experiencing in life right now that feels like science fiction? And I thought that was a fantastic question. And he had a great answer. It was about his injury and healing. And and his road to recovery. Is there anything in your life or that you've talked to people about that feels like science fiction to you?
Yeah, I mean, along the same lines, I guess what you can do with AI is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So we're using AI for a lot of thumbnail generation, ideas, title suggestions. Just if you can combine ChatGPT with Midjourney, you can get some just insane ideas for thumbnails.
Right.
That's like used to take me forever to try to stumble my way through Photoshop to figure out how to do stuff. You know, I'm not a designer. I know enough in Photoshop to be dangerous,
Right.
but I'm not it takes me 10 times longer than an actual skilled designer how to do it.
Sure.
And the fact that you can just type in what you want to see and out pops a beautiful picture. It's like, man, this is, and we're just getting started.
We're just getting started.
That really feels like science fiction.
It totally does. Totally does. I've been taking video transcripts, putting them in AI, asking for a description for the video, titles, and then I've asked for thumbnail concepts to be delivered based on the transcript of the video, which is really cool.
So, I mean, one of the things we're building into my tool, that this won't be at launch, but we have our own little mini working version, is you can do thumbnail tests or title tests. And we talk mostly about thumbnail tests, but with title tests, what we'll do is submit the first X number of characters of the transcript to ChatGPT and say, come up with a intriguing title that I can split test against. So now we get automatic title suggestions, but based off of the actual transcript of the video that in question. And as you start getting more title test wins, whether it wins or it loses, we feed that information into GPT as well to see historically what kinds of words and what kind of titles have won versus lost. So the more title tests that you do, the smarter it gets at recommending even better titles for your videos. And the goal becomes to make that ultimately automatic. I don't know if I'll turn that feature on for everybody, but imagine you have 1,000 videos on your channel, and you're going to start working through on the titles. Cool. But if you haven't, the thumbnails, cool. But if you haven't, hired someone like Justin to help you, and you're getting like 5 out a day, while those are happening, you could automatically running title tests on the other 900 something videos on your channel. And if it loses, it loses, right? Like after a few days, 6 days, whatever, you get the data. Okay, that lost, cool. So go back to the original one. But if it wins, that could have a significant impact on your video. And again, it's basing it off of the actual transcript of the video, what's worked on your channel before.
Right.
So yeah, it's like, it doesn't feel real. This is all within the past 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. It's crazy.
Less than a year. So crazy.
Yeah.
All right, we're running short on time. Lightning round. But first, what's the significance behind the Doritos bag that's behind you there? Is that just lunch, or is that a sponsorship?
This is a good story to maybe end on. But I've got when people go on a diet, they say get rid of all the junk food in your house.
Yeah.
And I started with that too, but I didn't like feeling like I wasn't strong enough or capable. Like something didn't feel right with that advice. And so what ends up happening is you end up going on vacation or cruise or office party, whatever. And then you just start destroying the junk food because you've trained yourself that you can only win when you're in your perfect environment. So my vice is Doritos. I love Doritos.
They're so good.
And this is a giant bag. It looks tiny when it's back there, but this is like the Costco half human size bag of Doritos. And my mouth is watering now, just like looking at this bag and holding it. And I could eat this whole thing right now. Right. But I'm not. So my strategy is called Damn the Doritos. And it's a reminder to myself that I'm stronger than the Doritos. So I look at this in the office every day. Like it stands out pretty bright on my background. As a reminder that I'm like, damn the Doritos, that I don't want the Doritos to own me. And so that may not work for everybody. Sure. But I want to make decisions that I feel make me stronger instead of weaker.
I love that. 2 quick lightning round questions, and I'll let you go. What book is your favorite, or you'd recommend, or is a must read?
I mean, I got my own books, which obviously I love. Momentum is probably the newest one, most relevant. Someone's just getting started on their journey.
Momentum.
Outside of that, 4 Hour Workweek had a big impact on me.
That's a great one.
Not because of, like, Tim doesn't work 4 hours a week, right? It's not because of the idea of working 4 hours a week, but the idea of delegating and building an organization and having people help you. We've got 42 people on the team now, and I can do so much more with them than me just trying to do everything myself.
Totally. Final question, then I'll let you go. Most important question of the entire episode: DC or Marvel?
Ooh, Marvel.
Ooh,
okay. I'm trying to think DC. I mean, I love Batman.
Yeah.
Growing up, if you asked me when I was 8, I would have said DC because of Batman. But Marvel's just done so much more with their brand recently, and DC's trying to catch up and has had just so many issues. But yeah, right now Marvel,
solid.
20 years ago, DC, and I don't know. In 5 years, we'll see what happens. Question for you before we wrap: what's on the front of that baseball hat?
Oh.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Good.
There we go.
That worked. I'm a Blue Jay fan, but the Yankees are good. The Yankees are fine. I'm a Yankees fan. Historically, I just love the drive to want to win, at all costs, and spending money to go make it happen, and taking our best players sometimes to recruit onto your team. But
right. Well, so for me, the significance real quick is my first YouTube success. Where I was like, dang, we actually built something. We went to Toy Fair in New York City, and it was surreal to be there. I'm from Vegas. Never thought I would really travel much in my life, but YouTube and content creation have brought me, to New York and London and Edinburgh, Scotland, and various other places. So the significance for me is just kind of based on that.
Are you a hardcore Yankees fan?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not at all.
Okay, yeah. I was about to go super inside baseball on the Yankees.
No, I could talk thumbnails with you day and night, but yeah, baseball.
All right. Well, we'll do round 2 on thumbnails and go deeper. And dude, good luck with the show, the podcast. Super excited for you. It's going to turn into something magical and special, and I can't wait to see your growth again.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Much love.
All right. You too.